I'm Khaled Massaeed, Assistant Professor of Arabic Studies and Second Language Acquisition here at Carnegie Mellon University. And I'm going to be talking about a study that I conducted and published with foreign language journals. It's titled Interlanguage Pragmatic Development, Internal and External Modification Strategies in L2 Arabic Requests. Requests are frequent in daily interactions, and it's necessary that students know how to produce requests appropriately. And therefore, I have conducted this study in order to explore how L2 learners in the United States produce their requests and modify them internally and externally. When I say internally, that's by means of syntactic or lexical strategies, like interrogatives, saying can or could, or lexically through saying please. And externally, that's done by providing supporting moves to the request itself, by providing the reason for the request, or thanking the requestee to reduce the degree of face threat and show politeness. So in this study, I had 56 participants divided into 4 groups, a group of native speakers of Arabic, and a group of advanced L2 learners, and then an intermediate group and a beginner group. Each group had 14 participants, and their language level was determined by the program that they came from. So the beginners had 2 semesters of Arabic, and the intermediate ones had 4 semesters, while the advanced group had at least 6 semesters. And in order to elicit requests, I used oral discourse completion tasks in 3 different situations. These situations varied in power and social distance. The first situation was I called it the extension situation, and in which the participant is told, you are a student, you're taking Arabic this semester, and there's an assignment due soon and you can't meet the deadline. You need to go and talk to your professor, with whom you have never interacted outside the classroom, and ask for an extension. What would you say to the professor? The second situation was the money situation, and in this situation you are having lunch with your close friend, you have ordered the food, and then you find out that you don't have your money on you. So you ask your close friend to pay for your meal. What do you say to your friend? And the last situation is the kitchen situation, and here your roommate had a party last night and left the kitchen very messy, and you're expecting some visitors today, so you need to go to your roommate and ask him or her to clean the kitchen before your guests arrive. What do you say to your roommate? So the findings of this study were very interesting. Among those, first I found out that there is a relationship, there is a positive relationship between proficiency level and the ability to mitigate requests. And I also noticed that native speakers and advanced learners, they prefer to start with a supportive move and then state their requests, and then following that with another supportive move. Intermediate and beginner learners, they seem to prefer starting with a supportive move and then giving the requests. In that sense, advanced learners resemble those requests produced by native speakers, but they still have a problem of producing more utterances and longer discourse than is really needed. And that's well documented in the literature as the verbosity or waffling phenomenon. And this could be due to their lack of, they lack the access to formulas or expressions that are needed to execute the requests. So they keep modifying their requests to show politeness. And although beginners and the intermediate learners were able to mitigate their requests internally and externally, there were some linguistic problems that sometimes caused some difficulty in producing a clear request. That includes, for example, cases of mispronouncing words or the use of English, so the use of code switching sometimes when they did not know the word or they couldn't recall a word that would help them produce the request. Another interesting finding was that regardless of proficiency level, all participants relied heavily on using grounders or providing reasons for their requests. And the beginner group seemed to avoid using the politeness marker please, which is something that's not in line with previous studies. Previous studies have shown that the lower the level, the more the politeness marker would be used, but not in this case here. However, advanced and native speakers, they used a lot of politeness markers. So it's the opposite to other studies that learners in the lower level would rely on using politeness markers, and that's not the norm of the native speakers. Here it is the norm of the native speakers, but the lower level is not using it. Intercultural pragmatic differences were also observed here. One interesting finding was that in the extension situation, in asking for an extension from the professor, native speakers tend to provide vague reasons behind the requests, while L2 learners they tend to be very specific about the reason. For example, a native speaker would say, something came up and I couldn't finish the assignment on time. Can I have an extension, please? And a learner would say, I got sick this weekend and I couldn't finish my assignment, and can I have an extension, please? So based on the findings that I have in this study, I have recommendations for those of us who are involved in SLA and foreign language teaching. First, there is a need for pedagogical intervention. We saw that even the advanced group sometimes diverged from the norms of the native speakers because there is a lack of sociocultural understanding or access to formulas that are needed to execute requests appropriately. So the issue here is that textbooks tend to ignore providing information on sociocultural aspects and socio-pragmatic knowledge. And therefore, it is the teacher's responsibility to provide materials that would cover socio-pragmatic information and then allow some room for practicing what has been learned in the classroom. This could be done in the classroom and then extended outside the classroom through speaker and practice sessions with native speakers on campus. And if that is not possible, we could use technology-enhanced communication ways to connect our learners with native speakers. Also, we should think about exposing our learners to authentic materials, and this could be done through film clips, TV shows, and probably bring in guest speakers to the classroom. I hope you find my article interesting, and I encourage you to read it, and I'll be happy to communicate more if you have any questions or comments. Thank you.